Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. He's Roger Sampton. I'm Patrick Netherton. Hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful day. Again, please go out and vote. Exercise your civil rights to go out and cast your ballot and be heard. Again, don't care who you vote for. Just go out and make your voice heard. We're pleased to welcome in, with yet another ring to weigh down his hand, he is the chair of the Meat Sciences Department at Texas Tech University. He is the coach of the meat judging team, which just won its 15th national championship. He is Dr. Mark Miller from Texas Tech University. Mark, congratulations, man. Ho-hum, another championship, right?
Oh, no, it is never ho-hum. Just thank you for having us here, and we really feel very humbled to have been able to win this year. It was quite a year, as you know. 2020 has been the most unique year we've had ever.
Well, let's talk about that, because normally you get multiple stops along the way, multiple competitions to get you ready for a championship. Instead, you get 3 this time. There was one that you hosted. There was one in Omaha, and then the ultimate championship that y'all decided was the championship in Nebraska. That's where it normally is. You end up getting the final one and taking it down. Tell me a little bit about just how this all came about, how you get a season together in the middle of a pandemic, how much you and the other coaches throughout this community had to work and in order to see that there was actually a championship held.
That is a great way to look at it, because the pandemic threw everything up in the air. Just like, if you use college football as an example, everybody was getting ready to start that, and nobody had the same plan. And we really struggled in June, July, and August to get everybody kind of on the same page throughout the nation on what and how to do that, and not only just the universities, but also the companies that host the events. And so fortunately, we were able to do parallel lines and parallel programs, and we went with face-to-face and in-plant contests, and then we recorded those, and we're doing virtual for all of the universities that are not able to travel. And so that's what we ended up with. We were very blessed to be able to have, university administration support at, about 7 universities that were able to travel and be part of the program, and then the remaining universities are doing it at home on their virtual platform. And we can't thank Cavernous Beef Processors in Hereford for opening their doors and coming up with a plan to mitigate all the risk for their employees and also for our students. Same way with Nebraska Beef in Omaha. And hats off to, the Texas Tech administration for being able to open the doors at our university for teams from all over the country to come in. And that was not a small task, and we just really are thankful that God opened all those doors and gave everybody the courage and the plan, which really was very solid, because we have been able to document a really total mitigation of any risk for any of the students who were traveling from many of the universities, as well as when we host the event at the contest.
Well, you mentioned mitigating the risk for the students because you were holding this at the packing locations. Those were some of the most hard-hit areas early in this pandemic. As we heard, brisket prices were going through the roof, and beef prices were going up because all of these various plants were being hit very hard by COVID. What was the level of concern then? Because these were some of the most at-risk areas and places we've seen the virus spring up.
That is a spot-on question. The towns, the locations where the contests were held, those plants had already went through a swing because they were mandated to be open to make sure that this nation had a food supply. And so the COVID virus had already been through the employees. And so the risk was really low because it had already been through there. The second thing is we hosted the contest on Sundays. And so there were no students who were in classrooms or anything at Texas Tech. and there were no exposure to anybody from the campus to anybody who came in from another university, or vice versa. The universities that brought in their students didn't expose anyone at Texas Tech. So that same thing would be true at Nebraska Beef and at Cavanis in Omaha and Hereford. We hosted the contest on Sunday, and they don't operate on Sunday. So that right there was the biggest thing that pretty much said there's no crossover between people. That would be the ultimate social distancing, I guess, is that nobody's there. And then, of course, we followed all the CDC guidelines to take temperatures on everybody, so nobody was running a temp, and nobody was, everybody was wearing masks, and so we had masks, we had temperatures, and then we socially distanced between all the people who were there. So there's really not anything else we could do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was asymptomatic, and that's pretty much everything that's written into all of the guidelines for the processing plants as well as the CDC.
Talking to Dr. Mark Miller, who won another. By the way, was this your 15th championship at Texas Tech?
It was my 14th.
14th, okay.
And the university's 15th.
Right.
So Dr. Gordon Davis won the first one in 1989, and then I guess in the last 30 years since I've been there, since 1990, we've been blessed to win 14 out of 30, and just have great kids. And I have to tell you, it's a miracle every time we walk in there and have that happen. We have to give God all the credit.
Give me, for those that don't know, we had you on a couple of months ago, and we kind of walked through what exactly meat judging is. But for some of the people that may not have been a part of that or knew that, tell us about what this competition consists of. What are these individual, athletes that are on your team? What are they going through in a championship type environment to see who is ultimately going to come out with the title?
It's a 8-hour pressure packed, mind concentration focused event. And the kids' day starts at about 3:30 or 4 in the morning. And we have to be at the plant by 5 a.m. To register, and then begin the contest around 6. And the contest ends around 2 to 2:30 in the afternoon. During that day, the students are evaluating 3 different species, beef, pork, and lamb, for the quality of those exhibits, as well as their, leanness and how much fat that they would have, how much lean meat they would have. And then they have to write written reasons, which are evaluated by industry, government, and university experts. And they also have to so they have to justify why they did what they did. And then they also have to do grading, which is a USDA applied service. And most of our listeners probably are aware of being able to buy a prime steak versus a choice steak versus a Wagyu, Agu, Shi. So our students have to evaluate all those quality and yield, trimness, and muscling parameters and place 4 beef carcasses, pork or lamb carcasses, as well as many of their cuts, and then justify those decisions.
You mentioned the judges that are involved? Is it like a test in that they know the right answer and they are waiting for you to give them the right answer, or can their justification of something turn the mind of a judge and go, you know what, that's a justification maybe I didn't see, and I'm going to give you higher marks because of that?
Yeah, it's a combination of the two. The official, the actual, the way that it is, the placing is never changes. However, your reasoning for why you did what you did can still score very well, even though you might have been incorrect in your placing. Your reasons show that you had a great deal of logic and make a lot of sense, so you can still score even though you're not perfect. You can still be outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. So basically showing your work.
Exactly. And those experts would be, if you went into a contest of quarterbacks, if we just took meat judging and said, okay, we're going to do it in quarterbacks, you would have Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. They would be your official judges that would evaluate some group of college quarterbacks. So they're being evaluated by the absolute best. So they have a lot of pressure on them. And then, at these universities, the judging teams are recognized just like the athletic teams. from a national championship standpoint. And so there's a lot of alumni and people who put a lot of pressure on these kids to go out and to perform at those universities, and they have long, rich traditions. Like Oklahoma State has the longest. They've won 17 national championships, dating all the way back since me judging began in 1926, which is 94 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas A&M, we're tied with them now for the second most championships, and so those guys have been doing it a long time. We didn't really win our first national championship till 1989, and Oklahoma State won theirs in the 1940s, and A&M won theirs in the 1940s as well.
Yeah.
So it's
a
lot of pressure on those kids.
We refer to as the modern era now. You're the most successful of the modern era of meat judging, I think is the proper way to say that at this point. All right, so it's interesting because you do have, and you had mentioned this the last time we talked, you've got a long list of competitors, but you have to figure out which ones are actually going to count towards your team's score. Walk me through that process. How difficult is it? Do you go in knowing, oh, these are my crew, this is who I'm picking? Or is that something of a, hey, I looked at them this morning and one of them looked bleary-eyed, and so I said, no, I'm not taking their score, I'm taking his score. Like, how do you determine who are going to be your scores that count?
That is exactly it. So we have evaluations and practice performances that help us to rank those kids. We try to make sure that they know that hard work and work ethic and practice means a lot, and it impacts our decision on who gets to count. And so it does make a tremendous amount of difference. Then being able to handle the pressure is probably the biggest criteria, because some people just struggle with that. And after that, it's just pretty much luck. We had the American Royal contest in Omaha because we couldn't pick the right team.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this contest, the kids did so well that we couldn't mess it up. I think we have 23 kids on the team, and I think we judged number 17 on the team and still were able to win.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. You also had the overall champion, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, Katie Mahagan.
Yes,
who finished off. And it brings me to an interesting question, because when I look at the list of folks that are in here, there are a lot of women involved in this. And I don't know if that's a surprise to me, or should it be a surprise to me? Why do you think there are so many women that are involved in this particular aspect?
Well, I think that, one of the big reasons is that they get the opportunity to compete on a very level playing field. And so they love the competition, and they like to be able to, see how well they can perform. I think it's really another reason is because they want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And that's what meat judging allows you to do, is to be part of a team and to be able to be part of one. Some of them just fall in love with the meat industry. They just love the ability to be able to save lives. I mean, because this industry is actually saving lives every day based on food safety, nutrition, health, and they fall in love with that as well. So I'd say those are the primary three reasons. The fourth reason is probably because you can go out and compete for a national championship.
Sure.
And, the number of people that can say I've been able to do that in my entire life is not very.
By the way, what's the trophy? Is it just like a regular trophy, or do you get something cool that's a side of beef or something like that?
Both. It's really cool. We have a trophy that rotates, and it's a.
Uh-oh. I think we're losing his cell there. He told me he was going to be driving. He was worried about his cell service. Yep, we lost him. All right. Well, I did want to hear what the trophy was. Get him back, Rogers. Yeah, it may. Well, hopefully we'll get him back. He may call us back. I kind of want to know what the trophy is, though. I left on a. Yeah, I was left on a cliffhanger there. So Rogers is going to try to get Dr. Mark Miller back. I only had a question or two left for him, so hopefully we can get him in and finish that off, because I really did want to know what the championship trophy was. It's that's kind of intriguing. He said it was pretty cool, and so we lost him, and hopefully we can get him back. I know he said he was driving. He's going to be kind of worried about his cell service popping in and out a little bit. So hopefully we can get him back. If not, I'll text him and find out what the trophy was. No, all right. Well, I'll see if he can. Oh, there you go. He's calling us back. We'll see. Maybe he's calling us back. Okay. There for a second and dropped. All right. We'll see if we're gonna try to get him. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try to get him back, because I only had really one more question after that. All right. We welcome back Dr. Mark Miller, again, national champion meat judging coach for Texas Tech. You were talking about the trophy, and I didn't want to leave it on a cliffhanger because we didn't hear what you actually said the trophy was.
Yeah, so we have a bronze bull, and
Nice.
so the term in like the bull of Wall Street is a golden ox, and
Right.
the bull that we have is a bronze bull, and so that's what everybody's gunning for, and then a beef carcass bronze as well, and a pork carcass bronze. So those are the three, pretty much top of the line awards that we have.
That's beautiful. And the last thing I had before we let you go is you'd mentioned that y'all produce your own meat, Red Raider meat, out there in Lubbock. Tell me about what has kind of gone on with that as this pandemic has gone on. Has it gotten better, worse? You're getting more orders because people are staying in. What's the market been like for you guys in your meat production?
Oh, it's increased by about 45%
Wow.
because of COVID and the pandemic. There was actually a 4-day time span in Lubbock. It's a town of about 350,000 people, that the whole town ran out of beef. There was no ground beef anywhere, and we were fortunate enough to happen to have enough ground beef to get the town through that 4 days.
Wow.
We were just really fortunate that we were able to do that. So our business at Raider Red Meats has really exploded and grown, mainly because the outlet for, the highest quality, best tasting beef, pork, and lamb is at our place, because we use all the technology and the kids that we have to judge these championships to produce all the beef.
Fantastic.
And all the meat.
I love it. Mark, thank you so much for your time. As always, man, congratulations on another championship. Obviously, when those rings come in, make sure you share them with everybody so we can let everyone see all the bling you've got piled up now. There you go. He was like, you know what? I don't want to hear about your bling. That was Dr. Mark Miller, meat judging coach for Texas Tech, fresh off their 15th national championship, and the chair of the meat sciences department at Texas Tech in Lubbock.